him, with you, call who you are, and then we'll shout. All right. Hey, I'm Pat B.
I'm just Johnny.
And we are in the house with...
Oh, my name is Michael Terracciano.
Sorry. All right, on the Geek Down on WEMF Radio.
Leap forward bionically.
All right, there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Geek Down here on WEMF Radio. It's all about the intro, a little head on. Pause! So much better. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Geek Down. I am Pat B. On the side of me is my main man, Just Johnny.
Yo.
Hey, Black Adam Willis couldn't make it tonight, but it's okay. We've still got an action-packed, fun-filled show for you with in-house guest
Michael Terracciano, writer of Star Power, online sci-fi superhero space adventure.
Indeed. Sorry for cutting you off the intro
there.
It's
all right, man. I didn't know if you wanted my whole title or...
I didn't know you about... Yeah, I didn't know you had the whole, regal... the fourth Esquire, representing from the Holy Land. No, we are happy to have you joining us. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me out here. Really pleasure.
Oh, good stuff. We are going to get deep into Star Power comics. Get all up into the nitty-gritty, the cracks. We're going to get deep into Star Power's crack. Are you ready?
I was born ready.
Let's move up.
Okay, now you had to take it one step too far. Come on.
You said crack.
I did not. How dare I? Didn't say... Herb, did I say that?
Yes.
They're all against me. They're all against me. All right, no, we have an awesome show for you. We have Marvel's Runaways, the new TV show. Well, the new Hulu show. I don't know if we can technically call it TV anymore.
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't have regular TV anymore. I think Hulu is just TV now. I'm an old man. It's all newfangled techno magic to me.
Yeah, back in my day, we had a little thing called TiVo. Man, I could sit there and fast forward rewind. I had a friendly beep. Now with you kids, now it's all clicks and whistles and stuff.
And a
TiVo's
TV,
the old man device.
You had to turn the dial on the TV, man.
Okay, now
dial turn the TV, man, and
play with the antenna ears.
The rabbit ears for the antenna.
Yeah, and then slap the side of it.
Yep.
Because the picture is flipping, right?
Or it's rolling. That rolling thing.
Yeah, I had to walk 4 miles in the snow, both ways uphill.
Yeah.
To get an RFU. Oh no, we are the oldest folks alive, right? Actually, Herb, how old are you, brother? If I may ask.
No comment.
No comment. Okay, all right, yeah. We are all old as holy hell in here, talking about devices that I remember when they seemed like the future.
Oh my
God, it's gonna translate a high def signal. Whew! Well, then I better go outside and turn this giant satellite dish 4 inches to the left so I can see all this goodness.
So I can see Grandma, right?
I did own a beeper.
You did own a beeper?
Oh my God,
wow.
I do not miss those, man.
All right, we're talking about forgotten technology here.
Ugh.
All right, but no, it's okay. So Hulu and Netflix, it does sound like things that some old person who's never heard of technology would make up as fake names.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you're watching your Hulus there?
Hulus and the Netflixes.
Yeah. What do you got there? Some kind of flicks on the net?
Netflixes.
I don't think Hulu is too far-fetched, right? If people know Netflix, just about
Hulu
the majority of the
is a
country
goofy
knows.
ass name, man. If Google didn't become a proper name, Google is something I would have made fun of kids. Oh, look at you all Google. You're playing on your Googles there. Excuse me, I got a Tiger LCD game waiting because I'm cool.
Yeah, the Tigers.
Yeah, exactly.
How many of those did you have, man?
In total, I had 6, but I never had more than 2 at a time because they would break real easy.
Oh, yeah.
I would get so frustrated they'd break because I'd chuck them against the wall.
It was all one color too, right? It was just black silhouettes, and then they had a static background, and then that was it.
Or the background kind of moved and.
Very
the screen was so static.
Oh, well, hold on! Look at this guy, Rich. Rich, I had the moving background Tiger LCD. All right, Warbucks.
Yeah, the fancy.
All right, we all bow to your prowess and superiority here.
I think I had.
You had a remote control curtains too. Is that what you had there?
Yep. What do I say at that point? I had Shinobi and Gauntlet as a Tiger LCD.
Shinobi.
Oh, you had good ones.
I think I had that one. I think I also had Shinobi, and I know for a fact I had Castlevania, and that was awesome. I loved that one. I played the hell out of that thing.
I think my brother had Castlevania. I had to fight him for the rights to play the Castlevania one.
You all had to knock down, drag out to play the worst iteration of the trash. No, that's right, of the Trash Sylvania franchise.
At the time, it was the coolest thing ever.
But we didn't have the worst of the series, but it was the best of the Tiger handhelds.
Oh no, what? You my friend never played bowling. That's right. The Tiger LCD games. The weird thing. Okay, we're off on a proper tangent, so let's just run with it.
Yeah, why not?
Officially, the Tiger LCD games were covering all franchises, all systems, all companies took part in this program to get these crappy little games to kids. The problem with it is, the better the quote unquote franchise game was, the crappier the game, the actual gameplay it would be, because they try to load all this stuff on screen. And I remember I never had more fun than when I played bowling and baseball.
Oh,
because they had simple 2-button operation on the side. Like one is pitch, the other one is steer, and that's it. You know, and baseball, I tell the pitcher when to pitch, and then I hit the button for when I want to swing. That's it. Nothing else. Like it runs, I hit the button again just to make sure it moves. But there is no.
That's kind of like mobile gaming now, though, isn't it? Only just a lot more bells and whistles, and you can give them money in real time.
I would agree with you 5 years ago when it was all even less than 5 years ago when it was all what's the latest Bejeweled. And when
farming something,
all the farming simulators,
Oh,
every new
man.
iteration of The Sims at the exact same game, dressed up with a different skin
Clash
on
of
it.
Clans.
Yeah.
That's the big one.
Geez,
That's still going.
Clash of there's like
Clash of
something,
Yeah.
and you'll find it.
the ones advertised by Mr. T for no reason.
What?
Yeah, you don't remember that? He had this commercial.
I remember the.
I'm Mr. T, and if you download this, you can get the new Night Elf Mohawk.
Oh, that was World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was awesome.
That was World of
those
Warcraft.
commercials
That
were
was-
amazing.
No, that was
Yeah.
wow. I thought
All
that
of a
was
sudden,
like,
Mr. T was like a computer hacker
But-
and a programmer.
Yeah, like, there was no Night Elf Mohawk class. He's
No.
like, I programmed it in. That was great.
Yeah.
You ever think about that, Mr. Condescending Director?
Maybe I love the way he says it. Maybe Mr. T's very handed with computers. It's like, when you don't say it like computers. Computers.
Was there a bunch of celebrities for those commercials
They
too?
did.
Yeah.
There
It
was
started
really-
with Mr. T. And then
Yeah.
I started on
William
Mr. T.
Shatner did one.
Mhm.
Oh, and I forget who else.
Well, I know.
But it
Mis-
was a series of them.
Yeah, I think Mr. T's the only one that had his own custom-made. Oh wow!
Oh,
If anyone's watching the feed, which you should be on twitch.tv/the Geek Down, if you just listen, I highly suggest you go there and you can see our pretty faces. But Herb just turned on the gamma rays here. Apparently, this studio has more lights than I've ever seen
Look
in
at that.
existence in this room on. So wow and goddamn.
those are some
But,
studio lights right there.
Yeah, just
Uh-huh.
threw them out of nowhere. Yeah.
Fancy.
There goes the budget. Christmas came early for the studio.
All right, there will be no bonuses today.
As you turn the lights on for
Cracked
an
it, you
hour.
are working on Christmas Day. Tiny Tim's just going on with that. Can be like, what were we talking? Oh yeah, the Tiger LCD games. I actually had I had Double Dragon,
Oh,
Really?
which I
yeah.
thought was great. Mm-mm.
At the
Mm-mm.
time, of course we thought it was
No,
great.
no, at the time when I saw it in the plastic in the store, I'm like,
Oh.
and I got home and played it. I'm like, I have been deceived. I know deception for the first time in my life. I will never trust again. Man, Double Dragon was terrible, and I had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
They had a
Oh,
TMNT.
yeah.
They had a
Tiger game?
TMN.
Really?
It was one of the few made by Konami.
It must have
was
been
yeah,
good.
the
ow.
Something
bigger
was good.
ones. No, sir.
Oh man.
I will give them this though. For a crappy game, it was extensive because they use different parts of the screen as different levels. So I only
wow.
use like the first third, like that upper slant,
Yep.
third of the screen as like the first level. And you don't really realize because
Man,
there'll
I
be an
missed out on
image
this one.
of whatever enemy you're about to face on like the far side of the screen. So you think, oh, he's gonna utilize that part of the screen. Nope, because you see that little hint there of who's coming up next, and then when he actually attacks you, he's only on that third of the screen that you're on for that first level. So you're fighting him there. Oh, I guess he just came up to me really quick. Man, he's fast. It's amazing. The second level takes place on like you're climbing a building or climbing a sewer grate or something. So it's only in that middle part, but everything else seems like the rest of the level is just like empty air or stuff. You
Yeah.
know? And-
It's that cross your eyes gameplay design right there.
So man,
that
they
took
were
off.
they were clever with their garbage because the third level is underwater, so naturally you only use the bottom half of the screen.
The
because
underwater level is always the worst.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are.
Doesn't matter what game you're playing.
Yeah, so they were clever about hiding their hot trash.
God, do you remember Super Nintendo? Let's continue on this
Yeah,
tangent.
why
Why
not?
not?
Just do it.
Super Nintendo, million years ago, the X-Men game that they had.
Which one? Because I remember
Oh,
I
yeah.
had Spider-Man the X-Men. There was
No,
also
this
the
was-
standalone X-Men.
This is the standalone X-Men where
Okay.
poor Storm had the underwater level.
Oh no, that's Spider-Man and the X-Men.
That's Spider-Man
Arcade's
and the
Revenge. I had that for
okay.
that game was available. Okay, I'll tell you something about that game. It was available for Super Nintendo and Genesis, and it's the only game where I saw one of the one of the known facts that has been touted over the years about the SNES and Genesis war is that Genesis games had better gameplay. But SNES games always had better music because the SNES had a higher end sound card built in. And I never really got that because they had the ability to play better music, but everything on the SNES was crap. In fact, I mean, right now, I do believe that's Sonic music playing, which had very well composed music.
Right.
Yep.
But for a rare few select SNES games, of which Spider-Man and the X-Men Arcade's Revenge, I found out you have to see the whole damn thing. I bought it in the store and I later on found out, no, that's the whole freaking name because they had no sense of marketing. Is it Spider-Man? No, that's a different game. Is it X-Men? No, that's a different game. Arcade's Revenge? That doesn't exist. What about Spider-Man and the X-Men Arcade's Revenge? Oh, yeah, we have that one here. No one ever buys it because no one remembers the damn title. Yeah. But the music is amazing. And to this point...
That's pretty much with all the Marvel games on the SNES. I think the best soundtrack was either Maximum Carnage or Separation Anxiety. I forgot which one, but they had Green Jello.
Maximum Carnage. I know the game because I had it. I know the music because I loved it.
Yep.
And
wait, Green Jello did a video game?
They did the entire soundtrack for that game.
Yes, they did.
It was amazing.
It was
pretty good.
Maximum
Carnage?
Maximum Carnage.
Yep.
Maximum Carnage. I'm glad you mentioned that. Both of these are perfect examples of the greatest soundtracks for the most ridiculous, grinding, just hateful games.
They were all beat 'em ups.
Yeah.
Side scroll beat 'em ups. Every single one of them.
Awful.
Same
And you played Arcade's Revenge because you know that's where Storm's underwater.
Ugh.
And the thing is, in the book, they did a good job of describing, well, Arcade's evil, so he wants to take away Storm's ability to fly because he's a bad guy. Right. So he puts her on No, it was poorly designed. They figured, we'll make her fly like this. Ooh, it'll be great.
It's like, no. With the underwater level. Man.
Yeah, it's like, this looks terrible. How can we fix it? How about instead of in air, she's in water? That way it'll justify the awkward looking. No. Oddly enough, one I still have and play to this day in my regular MP3 rotation, background music, is from that game. It's the Gambit level, which was the worst. And
wait, the underwater level wasn't the worst one?
Believe it or not.
What?
The Gambit level, it starts you off just in this like void. It looks like an old school Mario platformer, one of the nighttime levels. And you hear this funky song just coming, funkiest song I've ever heard in the game. I still have it on my I'll play it. I'll get my phone right there. But great song, and I'm just there like the first time I powered up and just jamming. I'm like, oh, this is great. What's gonna happen, Crush? And the entire level, you're Gambit. You think I'm jumping here, I'm throwing cards, I'm doing all this stuff. Yeah. No. You're Gambit on this level where you're running from a giant spiked ball nonstop. And
that's what annoyed me about that game. Like, it had the X-Men, but you didn't get to do any of the X-Men stuff.
Oh, no, it was...
You didn't get to be Gambit throwing the cards and going Mon Chéri or whatever the hell. And you were Storm. You didn't get to throw lightning. You got to hold your breath.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, no, the wonder of mutant powers. She's doing static apnea and just swimming exercises.
I just like that, being Gammon, just Cajioning,
just Cajioning everywhere.
Yeah, just Cajioning everywhere.
Like, I'm throwing crawfish at him. Take that. What you want, jambalaya? Oh, no, that was an awful game. I do appreciate, though, how in the Wolverine level, it's him in this like ridiculous sadistic circus. And surprisingly, I did like the circus music that they included with it. But then you could retract the claws, and then you just get like the most satisfying punch sound effect.
Oh, really?
And it's literally an entire level of Wolverine running through punching clowns. And I don't know why that was so therapeutic.
That's where the budget went right there.
It may have been. Because you have the claws, and everything's more effective with the claws, but you retract the claws, and the healing factor kicks in. Yeah, so any damage you take starts to replenish, and also you get the more satisfying punch sound. Where
but obviously it's the weaker attack.
It's the weaker attack, but it only takes like 2 extra hits, whereas the claws would take 2, the punch would take 4 or 6. But the claws, you go, every time you attack. That's kind of nothing. I'm
pretty
Wolverine.
good
I want to hear like
soundtrack
slash and swing and all
Yeah,
this
you
stuff.
want
Yeah,
guts actually ripping as you like
that'd be great
gut a clown.
in a kid's game.
Yeah, of course.
You don't want to kill the clown immediately. I mean, you're Wolverine and you're punching clowns. Let that drag out. Pad that level. Just pad it out.
Well, imagine you can do that, or you can jump through, and as this guy's laughing at you here, and I'm just like, you play every other level, then you play that one last, so you can figure, oh, how much I hate this. I'm gonna put Gambit in a giant chess game with a ball.
Put Storm underwater. God damn it.
Yeah, I got Spider-Man. He's in a construction site. I'm like, okay, cool. That seems like a place Spider-Man would do some good swinging and stuff.
Climbing,
it's all enclosed. So every time you try to swing, you hit some rebar.
It's like they're purposely limiting their capabilities, right? Storm can fly. Let's put her underwater. Let's get rid of that flying stuff.
Which I guess is creative as a comic book idea,
and is garbage as a fun experience.
Garbage as a fun experience as a video game. Like, I get to finally play as my favorite mutant, and I get to do none of what they're famous for.
Yeah, it was a debacle plus one.
Ooh, debacle.
Well, we got so far off.
That's really sorry about that.
No, not at all. Not at all. That was good radio. Herb's over there riveted like, okay, I'm not gonna buy this. I'm not gonna buy this. You mentioned green Jello though. Yes, it was green Jello before they got sued and had to change it to green jelly.
Green jelly.
Yeah, Maximum Carnage is a game. Actually, which background music is playing here? Because I don't get any sound through here. But it might. Okay, still Sonic there. We have different.
That sounds like Sonic.
Yeah, we have background music that plays different like comic themes and TV themes and just general fun stuff. It's kind of open source, so please don't sue. But one of them is loaded with Tim and Jeff Fallen music from Tim and Jeff Fallen are the composers. Composers for a lot of video game music, including Spider-Man and the X-Men, Arcade's Revenge. And some Maximum Carnage tunes, because the stuff is infectious. It gets in your head, and you're just like, I found myself humming that years later and not knowing where the hell it came from. And by the graces, I come across like a YouTube rabbit hole, and it's just like, oh my god!
It just clicks.
Yeah, after 8 years, the nightmare ends.
It's like that moment in Ratatouille where like the villain, the food critic, like eats the ratatouille and just flashbacks to when he's a kid. You hear that music, and you flash back to like hearing it in the video game.
Like, mine eyes have seen the glory. All right, no, we were talking about, we briefly started talking about Marvel's Runaways, which we have lined up for you. Also, I'm going to give you the inside stuff on The Disaster Artist. If anyone's seen The Room, and hopefully you have, I'm kind of surprised at the lack of people in this room right now that haven't. Johnny, your homework assignment is to see The Room sometime this week.
It'll get corrected. I will definitely find that. Where can I easily find it?
You can find it anywhere. You like any less than reputable resource online will have it.
Okay.
They also have midnight screenings. I know there's one actually right here in Boston at the Coolidge Corner Theater in Brookline. No, in the Coolidge Corner Theater in Brookline.
Oh, okay. Yep.
They have midnight screenings there all the time. There's one coming up on the 16th, I want to say. All right. 15th to 16th.
That business is going to boom with The Disaster Artist out now.
Oh, I hope
I'm sure it already was, but like...
might be booked ahead of time.
Yeah, probably. As bad as The Room is, The Disaster Artist is the perfect way to present to mass audiences who may not be aware that such a beautiful, beautiful train wreck exists. Yes, indeed.
My wife got really mad at me for showing her that movie.
What? Why?
Well, I wanted to see how bad it was, and I hadn't seen it yet. I wanted to share the experience with her. I was like, sweetie, I've heard amazingly bad things about this amazingly bad movie. Let's sit down and watch it. And I'm marveling at what a train wreck is.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there are I can't describe how bad it is.
If you want to redeem yourself with her.
But you can't look away. She couldn't look away. When I show her to this day, when I show her things she doesn't like that I think she's going to like, she gets up and leaves the room. Like, hey, are you going to stay and watch the thing? Like, nah, this isn't for me. Sorry, sweetie. I'm like, oh well. She stayed through the room, though I could catch her just looking over me, just with
hating, just radiating the disdain,
with the arms crossed and the frown. Like, why have you done this to me?
Right.
I can't leave because it's so bad. I have to see how badly this ends. And then we got to the end, and Yeah.
If she wants more punishment, check out Helena.
Helena?
Helena.
Regale us with the tales of Helena,
What's
if you will,
Helena?
please, Johnny.
Oh man. If you want to see the worst ending, like plot twist ending in any movie ever of all time, like completely, like it was going like all right. Like the first like half the movie is boring as hell, but then it gets to slightly interesting, very disturbing kind of movie, and you're like, all right, cool. This is at least it's a very disturbing movie. And then the twist happens, and it robs you so much of and itself so much of whatever decency and whatever slight tinge of artistry it had in the writing gone out the window.
Wait a minute, is this Boxing Helena?
Yes, that's it.
Oh,
Boxing Helena.
okay.
Yeah.
Boxing
I've heard
Helena.
of Boxing Helena.
Yep.
Never seen it.
That's it. That's the one.
But
Watch it.
Sounds
Definitely
like a
watch
Tony
it.
Scott or Michael Bay film. What's going on there?
oh god, so you've seen it,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
but so from what I've heard of it, it's about this. Oh, what was his name? Julian something. The guy who was the warlock.
Julian
Assange.
There you go.
No.
Yeah. Some guy, and
His name is Julian Fries.
he
Yes.
gets obsessed with this lady, and I don't want to.
Well, from what I understand,
How
the movie.
old is the movie, first of all?
Oh, like
he basically
early
boxes Helena.
90s.
Oh, yeah, no, because you spoil away.
He cuts her arms and legs off
Beautiful.
to keep her, I think, and
And-
keeps her in a box.
I've
Keeps her
seen
in
that
a box.
website.
Hence
Yeah.
Yeah.
boxing.
Yeah.
No, it's wonderful. It's bookmarked her, but you go to... No, not the time? Okay, no, sorry, never mind.
Box,
Disregard.
and he keeps her in a box. So
Keeps her in a box, busts her out, puts her on top of a table, hand
and she's
feeds
like
her,
she becomes like a little ornament or like display piece.
And she's still alive?
Yep. Because he's
I mean, it's not.
Okay, I
it's
get
not
it.
like
Then literally boxing.
literally
Yeah.
boxing
I
Helena.
thought this was like a
not a
No, no.
sci-fi ripoff of $1 Million Baby or something.
it's
You know, it's like she stubbed her toe, pulled
that
the
may
plug.
have,
You know,
may have been interesting. That may be interesting.
It's
too.
full blown creepo.
And
well,
that dude, dude who plays Julian, whatever the hell his name is, he was in that movie, the late '80s movie called Warlock, which
that's
is
a deep cut.
That's actually a really good movie.
I liked Warlock.
If you ever want to watch like a legit Warlock D&D style Warlock movie, that's the one,
That's the one.
because all the powers that Warlock does, that is legit, straight out of D&D Player's Handbook.
Look, there is
Warlock
no
capabilities.
truer witch and warlock and supernatural powered display that's been more accurate than Bewitched. All right, I'm calling BS right now.
All right, we're gonna have to have
we're doing Warlock
a
versus
mock-off.
Bewitched.
All right,
I think my favorite part of the favorite part of Warlock is when the dude who followed the Warlock from the past, the barbarian dude, just brings like a lamppost onto a plane, and they let him do it. It's like it's his carry on. The stewardess is like, oh, okay.
you said this was the '80s, right?
This was the '80s. Yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah,
dude
you-
just brings like a wrought iron lamppost
Yeah.
onto a plane. Just puts it in the overhead bin because it's made of a certain metal that can like pierce the Warlock's magic or something.
It's a good proper B horror movie. It's
But it's
got
not-
what you want
Right.
for all the campiness, all the stuff you want. It's not like exceptional, but it's there. It'll
And the-
satisfy that.
and
that
the
need.
dude who
Yeah.
plays the Warlock is just naturally just sort of like pretty creepy.
Yeah.
Like
I
he's
think he
not
fits.
pretty creepy,
Yeah.
pretty comma and creepy. Like he's a
Okay.
pretty guy, or he was in the late '80s, early '90s. I don't know what he looks like now, but like he had like long golden hair,
Flaxen
very
hair.
yeah, he kind of did, and like these really chiseled features. He kind of looked like an
Rutger
evil.
Hauer.
No, think of like an evil elf without the ears. And that's what this guy looked like.
All I'm getting is Hugo Weaving, who actually played
Yeah,
an evil elf, but he's got those facial features where it's
I
like,
would. Yeah, I would say so.
okay.
If you've never seen the guy, think of Hugo Weaving,
All right.
maybe a little younger, blonde hair. That's the Warlock.
All right. People get away from that. You can always be fooled by the, I don't know, the roles that you first see them in. You've seen the Mighty Ducks, I hope.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I mean a million years ago, but yeah, I've seen him on.
All right, the dude that played Hans, very friendly old Swedish guy.
Oh man, all I remember from the Mighty Ducks are the Ducks and Emilio Estevez.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
remember Hans.
Good, and you've forgotten your way.
So-
Very, very friendly old Swedish guy who sharpened his hockey skates and taught him or retaught Gordon Bombay the importance of teamwork.
And
the old mentor of the show.
good clean
Yeah.
teeth.
Good clean teeth. Your priorities are way out of whack, Johnny. I mean, not that dental hygiene is not important, but we're talking about hockey here. All right. I mean, those teeth are like at best the third or fourth thing on your mind,
Was I sticking
and
my
possibly not going to last the entire season.
was I
Like someone's punching those out your face.
was I sticking my tail where it doesn't belong?
I'm guessing that's a duck reference. You are reaching, sir. and I applaud you. You know, I value your friendship. I'm very glad you want to be a part of this show. But it's just like I thought after all this time we'd have taught you better. But I mean, Herb, you can back me up on that. Sometimes we go back and watch these episodes and just see you reaching so far.
Oh yeah.
For a pun, just to get it out there. I mean. Yep. I mean, first learn to stand before you can fly, my friend. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
See what I did there, though?
Yep.
Before you can fly.
Inspirational duck pun.
All right, but long story short, that dude there, extra friendly, really likable in Mighty Ducks. I saw this movie. It wasn't Cyborg, but it was Cyborg something, and it had one of those very 80s stereotypical titles. Where he played an evil CEO who unleashed a cyborg on some hostages. Okay. So they could die, but his hands would stay clean. And this man's voice is the most evil thing you will ever imagine. And then I realized, wow, that dude sounds... What? And then you see his face. Like, you hear him first, and it's like, wow. They found the devil himself. That's amazing. And I thought I had a badass voice. I thought James Earl Jones was some stuff, but this guy. And then they show him, and it's friendly Hans from Mighty Ducks. Yeah, in this suit, and what's left of his hair is like slicked back. And
he's unleashing cyborgs onto civilians.
Yeah, it's just before you see him, it's just like, wow. This man's voice. I mean, it's like Charles Manson has got nothing on the Holmes here, and then you see him, and I'm like, he's giving Hans he's giving Gordon Bombay and the team Hassenpfeffer for breakfast before a game and stuff, making friends. It's mind blowing. So just keep that in perspective. That movie's protagonist was the bad guy in Karate Kid. Just a heads up there. Not buddies.
Johnny?
Not Billy.
Oh, the dojo.
Right?
The dojo guy. Yeah. Right. Oh man.
Never forget his name. I know his name every time I see it.
Every time that dude was in a ton of action movies before the Karate Kid or after the Karate. I don't know. But all I can ever see of him because of my childhood is like the evil dojo,
sweep the
leg. Evil sensei.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what heroic roles he's in, like saving babies and hostages and beautiful women from robots.
He deserved no mercy. We do not practice to be merciful.
You're always thinking, off camera he's punching babies.
Or he's beating up his students.
He's just foot sweeping.
He's about to kill.
He's just sweeping legs left and right.
He can't help himself. He's going home down the street, sweeping legs.
Bleed from the mouth or the nose.
Son, did you do homework? No, Dad. Sweep. Like, hey, neighbor, would you mind moving your car? It's blocking me. Sweep the leg. It's like, I'm sorry, you're late. You're 10 minutes late for your doctor's appointment. We can't see you sweep. What were we talking about?
You wanted to talk about both runways and the disaster
we were talking about the disaster artists.
But I feel like I keep pulling you away from
hold
what
on.
you want to talk about. I'm so sorry.
Note this historical achievement, because we started with talking about The Room and ended up with that guy from Karate Kid. All right, but Johnny, you actually got to check out a game that we didn't get to last week. We couldn't cover, unfortunately, but we'll take another crack at it now. Tooth and Tail.
Oh yeah, Tooth and Tail. So this is a real-time strategy game that you're playing as this rat mousy type leader, and there's different leaders for 4 different factions in this game. But essentially what's happening is you're playing as animals in this real-time strategy game where it's all about food and the scarcity of food. Now, there's regular food, right? There's like grain that you can farm, but you're not farming it. The pigs are farming it. And the pigs are farming it to feed themselves. And then as the civilized animals in these different factions, they're eating the pigs.
The rats are eating the pigs.
The rats, the frogs, the badgers, and the warthogs. They're all eating. It's all about this war that has erupted between these factions because one faction ate the child of another faction's leader because they were hungry. Wow. So they ate him. And then it started like this whole war between the civilized and the uncivilized and the haves and the have-nots.
What the hell kind of dark, barbaric stuff is...
And it's all about meat. And whoever's eating meat, they are the civilized. They are the worthy ones to sort of rule over all other factions that exist within this world. Versus
you say worthy,
those
I think like
Simon
Belmont from the Captain N or Peter Perfect. I see you talk like this because I'm the hero. Now let's eat our competitor. You know,
it's exactly that.
With a weird dichotomy here.
So you're warring with each other's factions, and then the spoils of war is you're eating the enemies. You know, that's the point. Like, you're warring so that you can get more meat, and you war more in order to get more meat to feed your troops. In order to,
Damn.
Yeah. So, and
you know what? No, I'm taking the wrong attitude here. That's how I think we'll end. We'll finally achieve world peace.
Yes.
Imagine if someone's like, okay, now we can attack you, Afghanistan, but if we win, we're gonna eat you afterwards. You know this, right? You know, it's like no happy, no funerals and stuff. You're not going back home. All right, you see, Osama? Yeah, we chowed down on that fool. All right, so I mean, just letting you know, we made crudité out of him.
So things get way weirder because all of this weirder. Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I think that would be an effective tactic, and it seems to work from tooth and tail.
Yes, it very much does. So it's an RTS elements. But the story and the world itself is sort of centered on this haves versus have-nots, and the aesthetic is like this communistic, sort of
pessimistic
Eastern Europe sort of fight between elitists, a faction that's all about, there's sort of like the elitists, another faction that's sort of like the ruffians, kind of like almost like the UK, like the UK mob, like the English mob or whatever, something like that, like very ruffian style. You know, they're at their central location is at a bar, and you're just getting everyone drunk. They run distilleries, and they're talking about different jobs that they're going to pull off and whatnot. Right. And then there's another faction that is the communistic faction, where everyone is kind of poor. The leader of this faction, or not the leader, but the one that you control as the leader going through combat, she has one arm, and there's all sorts of different stories that go around as to why she has one arm, whether she starved herself so much that she ended up eating her own arm, or she gave her arm to her faction members in order to eat so that they wouldn't starve.
So somebody ate the arm. That's just a given.
And that's sort of like the people's republic kind of thing, like the communistic from the grassroots faction, and then there's this other faction.
That is the most gangster.
Yeah.
Imagine that. It's like first of all, both scenarios. Like, my people, you are hungry. I will look out for you. Trust in me. Yo, forget you. We're starving. I got you. Swack.
So
dinner is served.
Which animals?
It's like, we don't want to eat that.
These?
Who said that?
Like, which is like. Do you remember like which is the one? Which animals are represented by the one who like cut off her arm to feed her?
So it's the factions are all colorized. So the red faction, which is why I said like the communistic faction. The red faction has that particular leader. All the leaders that you're controlling during the gameplay are all rat-like creatures, rat or mice-like creatures.
Oh, okay.
And then all the other creatures that you're sort of building, your dens and your warrens. In order to sort of spawn them, because, like I said, this is a RTS-style game. Those range from, as I said, squirrels, but not just any squirrels.
Oh, I misunderstood.
They are the Distillery Brothers. So they are a bunch of squirrels that make their own acorn ale and get wasted off of it, and then they have these pistols, and they're like a ranged unit, so they're shooting things, but they're also like half drunk while doing it. you have like these weird like barbarian, like northern Russian barbarian lizards that have like fur wrapped up, like they wear like fur, but they're lizards, and they're like really fast and speedy, and you can sort of overrun enemies.
I misunderstood. I thought every faction was a different animal.
No.
Okay.
No.
I
So
misunderstood.
the factions are all have access to the same collection of animals.
Oh, okay. So they're more divided by ideology than
they are
species.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that sort of ties into the story element. So that is the campaign part of this game, where you're going through each of the 4 different factions in this story that's ongoing, and you see the relationship between them and the reasons why the war has started, and then where it sort of leads to, and sort of who triumphs over everything. That's the campaign part of it. And then there's the whole multiplayer part of it, which is surprisingly well-tuned and robust, and has this ranking ladder system to it, kind of like what you'd get out of StarCraft, right? Like the big king of the RTS style games. This game sort of does all of those. It checks all of those boxes to what would be like what a RTS style game needs to have. It checks all those boxes, but it also does it in a very bite-sized, fast, sort of gets to the chase, boils down, distills, if you will, it actually kind of says that, distills the essence of what makes an RTS game down to the fundamentals, and that is sort of what you play in each particular match or each particular level, right? In other RTS games like Command & Conquer and Warcraft and all those other ones, you have to manage multiple monetary resources, and then you have to sort of build multiple structures, and there's multiple tiers, and you have to go through research and things like that.
And you get attacked by that jerk who built an army first before anything else, and then attacked you while you were still trying to get some wood. No pun intended.
This one is not that. It's all you build is these mills called gristle mills, which is the mills that raise the wheat that the pigs then eat, that you then eat the pigs. And that's it. And there's this one other resource place, which is a campfire where you're roasting meat on the campfire. They sort of added that into the multiplayer through some recent patches.
I'm hearing the potential for a lot of grinding. Was this really grind heavy?
This is not grind heavy. Each match is anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes long. So they are very, very quick matches. The single player part of it, the story is sort of separated between matches, and then when you are the levels that you're playing, and when you're not playing these tailored levels, you are going through this confined room. It's a big room. It's more like a big environment, and you're moving around it and talking to all the different NPCs that are part of your faction. You might get representatives from other factions in there, and it's really sort of, you learn about the story by talking to these NPCs that are around the room, and you're going through each of the factions' different sort of headquarters locations, and having a chat with them and learning more about the world and learning more about all of their suffrages and whatnot, because you're running low on meat. And then when you're going into the multiplayer part of it, the other big part of it that separates it from everything else is that the maps are randomly generated. So because of this random generation, there's this aspect of RTSs that is pretty important, and because with the randomized map generation, it's even more important is the whole scouting aspect. So because you don't know the map and the opponent also doesn't know the map, it forces you to sort of explore one another and to look at each other's home base and see how they're building their own set of assets. There's a lot of miniature nuances to the gameplay and to how the matches play out that would take a long time to explain, but it's for a game that's very simple as far as the number of different elements. You're only selecting 6 different units to bring into a match, right? So you're not building like 12 different units with a bunch of different other research options. It's very, very confined and very, well, let's just say confined.
It seems very contained because normal RTS games, at least that I'm familiar with, I'm building maybe 2 different classes, and then I'm focusing on tanks and vehicles and such.
Yeah, it's like that, except you make that decision before you start the match, and then as you're playing through the match, you're working with the limited set of units that you pre-selected beforehand, and after that, it's really just execution. And the other part about this game that makes it really, really work well and really nail that simple, distilled part of the RTS is that it's better to play on a controller versus keyboard and mouse, which is kind of unheard of for RTS games where it's always, play with keyboard and mouse. In this one, all of your commands, all of your micro level controls, you are just controlling the leader. And through the positioning of where you place the leader, your troops will then follow suit through two different types of commands that you can issue them. And that sort of controls everything else about the RTS elements, and it really simplifies things, but still keeps the level of complexity and the level of thinking that you need to sort of invest and sort of think about what the opponent's going to do, how to react against what they're doing, how to get, some sort of advantage. They might be defending, putting up a bunch of defensive fortifications. If they're doing that, then you might be like, all right, while they're doing that, I'm going to invest in more gristle mills and expand my economy so that I can raise more troops faster, that sort of thing. And it really is what it says. It's real-time strategy distilled down into a very 5 to 10 minute bite-sized chunks, and it is absolutely fantastic. I give it a definite thumbs up. This is one of the best RTS games, real-time strategy games that I've played in years.
All right, damn, I'm kind of impressed because normally you hate everything. So that is that. So kudos to Tooth and Tail. What's it available on?
It's available on PS4 and Steam on PC, and it's $20. It's definitely worth the $20, but Steam holiday sales coming up, so you could probably get it for less than that. Play it with a controller also. I highly recommend playing it with a controller. Even though you can do it with keyboard and mouse if you're playing on PC, I actually prefer playing on a controller.
All right, surprising. All right, the game is Tooth and Tail, available now. Just Johnny actually says, just get it.
Yeah, just get it, man. It's awesome.
All right, now we are going to kick it over to... That's you.
Oh, me. Oh, hi.
Yeah, hey.
I didn't know where we were going.
Sorry. No, he was transfixed.
I was transfixed. I was lost in the world of Tooth and Tail.
All right, it's A-okay. It's A-okay. We are talking now to one of the main forces of Star Power Comics. This is Star Power has an active Kickstarter right now. Yeah,
we're in the last 2 days. I'm a dummy and I can't count. I've been promoting like crazy. Today is the last day of the Kickstarter. Today's the last day. Tomorrow is the last day of the Kickstarter. Okay. But drama on a Monday on the internet. No one seemed to notice.
Yeah, I
was dramatic enough, and I typed "final day" in all caps when I was promoting it on social media that no one seemed to have noticed. Like, hey, there's actually like 33 hours left in your campaign. Today is not the last day, dummy.
Hey, no, you caught the couple people that weren't paying attention. You had to rush out oh man, I gotta get my hands on.
We got a bunch of pledges today for the last couple of days of a Kickstarter, whether it's funded or not, and ours is funded. So. And we're very, very grateful for that. But even so, we've got a bunch of pledges today at the wire.
Good for you.
And we're very, very grateful for that. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So for any of our listeners who didn't check the pre-show literature, I want to give them a heads up on what Star Power is.
I mean, I can do my elevator pitch if you like.
Go right ahead.
All right.
Elevate away.
All righty. Well, Star Power is a webcomic that I write. My friend Garth Graham, he's the artist for it. His work is second to none. It's a sci-fi superhero space adventure. It updates new pages every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at starpowercomic.com. It's about an astronomer on a space station in the far future who gets granted the star power. And that lets her become Star Power. Now she has to figure out where the star power came from, what the hell's coming after her now, and why, and what happened to the rest of the galaxy. It's pretty classic take on the sci-fi superhero thing. We weren't trying to rewrite the book on what it means to be a sci-fi superhero or go in any new directions with the basic concept. But we think we've added our own ingredients to the traditional recipe.
Well, you don't want to toy with this stuff. It sounds like you're going for a post-apocalyptic tale of triumph and discovery.
Not exactly.
A utopian tale
The-
of macrame.
We took a
and social studies.
we were very, very inspired by the Foundation trilogy by Isaac Asimov. And if you don't know the Foundation trilogy, one, it's a cornerstone of science fiction. Highly, highly recommend it. Great read. But in the Foundation,
like 50 Shades of Grey. I know, dude. You want to talk good literature?
Oh my god.
Yeah, historically, that'll be taught in textbooks.
But in the Foundation is the last vestige of civilization for a galaxy that's fallen to barbarism. Star power takes place in our version of the Foundation, which is called the Millennium Federation. And now that Star Power has the Star Power, the rest of the galaxy is this post-apocalyptic, barbaric mess.
The wastes that
The
were
wastes of
once
the galaxy.
Yeah.
It was a huge galactic empire. It was crazy. Then it fell apart in a giant war. But it never reached the Millennium Federation. So the Millennium Federation is what it is. It is this. It's a sci-fi utopia. But beyond the borders of the Millennium Federation, where the Star Power came from, everything is a mess. So in our story, the Millennium Federation doesn't need Star Power. They got things under control, like Galactic Defense, who's their police force. They're good people. They are a competent police force, not really corrupt. Again, but
I'm okay. I see you write high fantasy then.
It's hey, it's science fiction. It's escapism. I don't like to subscribe to an apocalyptic future. I remember when I was a kid, science fiction was always, well, the sci-fi I saw was hopeful. Our future was bright and shining and gleaming, and we all had jetpacks and we could fly, and we had everything was better. And
it's retrofuturism. The past visions of the future
are the better ones.
Somewhere around the early '80s, that was just completely out the window because Mad Max became cool. You know, every Paul Verhoeven movie takes place in the darkest future imaginable.
And it's very prevalent today. Everyone thinks the future is going to be this rusted mess, and it probably will be.
Yeah. To be fair, all you have to do is turn on the news.
Yeah, no.
And you know what? There is evidence.
So I wanted to make this world you wanted to escape to, not you wanted to escape from. I wanted to go back to that science fiction and that superheroism that I grew up with, the kind that gave you hope, that kind of made you like, I want this power because it seems amazing, not, oh, I don't know what it means to be a hero. Maybe I'm really a burden. And people who write those stories are very good at writing those stories. But that doesn't mean I have to write those stories. I have no interest in that overwhelming, overbearing darkness. Not saying those stories are lesser. There are people who can write those stories and they do them very well. But I can't do it. I can't do it.
No, Dean Koontz is garbage. Okay, let's just put that out there now.
I want to write a story where there's a light in the dark, and the light can actually pierce the darkness. It's not a futile light. It's an actual like, oh my God, we never had hope before. Now you're here and you're bringing us hope. Hey, wait a minute. This is what superheroes used to be like. Oh, hey, this is actually kind of fun.
That's not a thing that happened. They were never like that. They've always been dark and horrible and gritty. Ever since comics started back in 1984 with the Punisher. No, I do. I really like that. It's less of a. It's less Flash Rogers. It's less Flash. Thank you. It's less Flash Gordon, more Gordon Bombay. I was gonna say Flash Gordon Buck Rogers, but maybe that's an outdated reference.
Well, I think maybe. But we have Google. People don't get it. They can look it up. Like Flash Gordon, who the hell's that?
Or you can Bing it.
Or Bing it.
Yeah, we're not doing that. But no, I dig that though because, like you said, apocalyptic future is the way things have gone for the longest time. That's been the more prominent visions of the future in most of the science fiction I've been exposed to, and I've always liked. You really only see it in older fare too. I've always liked. Those visions of the future that show everyone's gonna wear like these spandex pants because they're aerodynamic and they fly. You know, they all have jetpacks, they all have ray guns and fins on their helmets and stuff. They all drive cars that have little rings around the exhaust.
Yeah, in the early iterations of Star Power, before it was Star Power, Garth really wanted to do that old school like fishbowl helmet. Like ray gun adventure with like everybody's spacesuits had like the superhero emblems.
I love that stuff.
I thought it was great, but I didn't think it had enough staying power for me to write it. Like I could do like a storyline, and then we're done with that storyline. I have to do this again. Oh, so star power had more legs for us.
Okay, all right. You want to give us a bit of a rundown of the typical star power story?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Well, I can give you a summary of our first 4 storylines, actually, which all of which have been kickstarted into books, which you can buy off of our website, starpowercomic.com.
Want to give it one more time? Herb coughed over the
sorry.
promo there.
The website where you can read Star Power completely for free. Everything we've ever done is starpowercomic.com. We started with Star Power in the 9th Wormhole. That was kind of the origin story. She gets her powers in the first 6 pages, and we just hit the ground running. Like we didn't mess around. We're like, you guys know you're here for the superhero stuff. Page 6, superhero.
Nice.
And just go. So it's a lot of her playing catch up in the first one, like discovering that she is now the last of the star powered Sentinels. What the hell is coming after her now, and why?
You are the only one that remains, and on the horizon, the creature's coming to get you.
Exactly, yeah. We wanted to keep it simple. Again, we wanted to keep it simple. We'd never done sci-fi superhero stuff as creators before, so we didn't want to try rewriting the book on how to write a superhero story. So we just kept it simple.
I like that.
We added a couple
origin stories left and right. Like, let me get to the meat of it.
Yeah. So in our second, the 9th Wormhole is Star Power learning that the 9th Wormhole invasion is coming now that the Star Power has returned, and learning that there were 8 others before that, and that's kind of how the galaxy around the Millennium Federation went to garbage. The 8th Wormhole invasion was the one that killed all the Star Powered Sentinels and destroyed the Galactic Empire, except for the Millennium Federation, which it never reached.
Okay.
The second book we did...
I hear good things about the 6th Wormhole invasion, so...
That was the party invasion.
Yeah.
They tried to keep things light.
Yeah, the 7th one, they were posing, man, giving Indian burns and stuff. Not really doing any... If Star Power in the 9th Wormhole was our Star Wars in its tone, Star Power and the Search for Black Hole Bill, our second story, was kind of like The Empire Strikes Back. We slowed things down significantly so we can finally learn a little more about the characters who've all been given these powers. That was more of a character study, and also a hunt for a bad guy who escaped from the first one. Star Power and the Mystery of the Zelgux Dynasty was our adventure. It was a planet hop. It was a... Oh, sure. And the Mystery of the Zelgux Dynasty.
Oh, I like that. It was much better than I could do. That was our planet hopping adventure. There was no looming bad guy chasing them. There was no threat on the horizon. It was just trying to solve a puzzle. And they're trying, and it's a major revelation about the nature of the star power and the Zelgux who created the star power.
Okay, was any of your influence like Tintin or those early?
I think unconsciously. The Indiana Jones movies, any of the 80s adventure movies where like it's a treasure hunt or like a mystery hunt, something like that.
That's what I'm hearing here, because the whole thing sounds like Doc Savage in space type stories. You know?
Yeah. The book the storyline we just finished up, which is the Kickstarter that's finishing up tomorrow, is called Star Power and the Lonely War, and that's Star Power going beyond the borders of the Millennium Federation for the first time and realizing just how bad things are outside of.
It gets real.
It gets real because she's seen combat and she's seen battle, but she's never seen war. And she's a civilian. She's an astronomer. She doesn't have any like combat training. She was a star nerd who was given the ability to go out to the stars. And now, guess what? You're responsible for trying to fix this. And what's this? It's a really complicated war. Good luck.
Nice. Oh, yeah,
so it's a real test.
And
if you don't uphold the virtues of the star-powered Sentinels, there might be a problem.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right.
And we've just started up our 5th storyline. I'll say last week, 2 weeks ago. Star Power and the Choir of Dr. Him.
The choir is that Dr. H-I-M or like H-Y-M-N?
H-Y-M-N.
Nice.
But we've already played like, I'm listening to the new. It's one of Him's new choir works. Like, no, his choir works. No, I didn't say hymns. I said him. But
hymns.
Exactly.
It's one of hymns.
It's one of Him's hymns.
Hymns.
We're going to be doing that for the entire storyline.
I'm okay with it.
Cool.
Throw those at a curve of, I guess, comedy or just abject annoyance, which is it's a
abject
crapshoot.
annoyance is comedy for some.
For some.
If you're watching somebody else getting slowly annoyed, it's hilarious.
If you can nail down the Tim and Eric crowd, I think you'll be all set. Somebody pays those people, Herb. You believe that? All right. So one time, let me get a hymn.
Ooh, I like that.
What, I'm alone in this?
Yeah, no, I know, man.
I'm back. Let's. Dr.
Ooh,
Hymn.
man.
All right.
Ooh.
A little bit of a harmonizer there.
All right. Now that was for you, audience. Those eargasms came courtesy of Star Power Comic. You can track them down at starpowercomic.com, and you still have time to give into this latest Kickstarter.
Yeah, the Kickstarter, if you search on Kickstarter, Star Power and the Lonely War, or hell, even just Star Power, that's the one that comes up.
All right, awesome. Michael, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, man.
All
Appreciate it.
Hopefully we can have these guys back on to get an update on Star Power once it's a little farther on down, see how the heck that hymn situation went down. I'm trying to get another hymn pun.
I know,
it's
right?
not coming to me. All right.
Okay, it'll come to you. Probably after we go off the air. Like, you're like, oh, I got one! And then we're all at home.
How it always happens. It'll be next Thursday or something.
I got one.
No.
I don't think you want it, though.
Uh-oh.
You know what? Go for it. We're
He's
already in the
asking for
weeds.
Oh. No, it was really bad. You don't want it.
Oh.
It was
Well,
really
now
bad.
that you've set it up so much.
Dude, we are live. You are teasing.
Well, all right, it wasn't really a hymn. It was more like...
You've built it up so much now. It could have just been real quick. You could have just ripped off that Band-Aid, but no.
Well, for him,
Better be good, Johnny.
it wasn't as harmonic. Sorry.
You know what?
It's good, though.
Hymns was less harmonious than him.
I applaud the effort.
I'd have said hymn was less harmonious than hymn was intended to be.
When I was writing the script, Garth, the artist for Star Power, he wanted me to make Dr. Hymn's assistant, whose name is Karina. He wanted me to call her like Herr Karina, so it'd be him and her.
Karina, that's tragic.
He wanted that. I was like, I had to shoot it down. I'm like,
no, that is a good call.
It's good, but like, I don't want to do that for 5 issues, Garth. I can't do it. I can't.
It's too much.
Also, I researching what Herr means in German. That means that's like German for Mister.
Yeah.
So I remembered Young Frankenstein, wherein like the assistant was always calling him Herr Doctor. I didn't know she was. Just like, oh my god, she was calling him Mr. Doctor like the entire movie. That's really funny.
Never,
Herr Doctor.
All right, I knew
Like
that.
Mr. Doctor.
I never thought about that specifically.
It makes that little bit of Young Frankenstein that much just a little bit funnier now. Like, she's calling him Mr. Doctor the entire movie.
Maybe. There's an Eddie Izzard bit somewhere here that we're missing. All right, but we're nearing the end of our hour here. I'm going to close out with a quick review of the Disaster Artist, and possibly touch on it a little more next week. But, dude, the Disaster Artist is the movie starring James Franco and Dave Franco, and I think the first project where they've ever worked in as the brother-brother combo, to tell possibly the story of the greatest achievement in modern cinema to date. I mean, goodness knows what'll come out tomorrow, but Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero in 2002 or 2003, I think it was, gave us the greatest bit of cinema. Is there a proper term for disasterdom, disasterhood, disaster in horror?
There is a term for a movie so bad.
Train wreck.
No, it's some weird.
Train wreck is up there, but
it's some weird cinematic official
proper
thing. I can't remember what it is though.
Cinema garbage, if you will.
There we go.
But we're talking, of course, about the Disaster Artist, the room documenting the events that would eventually achieve the cinema release of The Room, a movie made famous because it's so just daggone bad. And I have to say, I enjoyed the hell out of this movie, not just for the performances and the actual care that was given to this production, because you can tell that James Franco himself was a fan, and hearing the behind-the-scenes stories about how he met with Tommy Wiseau and got approval on all these scenes of how he was going to portray him, and not to say, hey, you're going to cut down anything I do because I'm lampooning you this whole time, but making sure he got mannerisms correctly, making sure lines were delivered and little nuances were covered. And I appreciated the hell out of that, because The Room itself is a terrible, terrible movie. Like, horrible. Think of the worst movie you've ever seen. If it's not The Room, then The Room is worse. And they nailed every aspect. I think a bit of license was taken in some of the situations where that was probably a closeted conversation. How did you know this? You know? But besides that, everything else was done spot on. As somebody who's seen The Room many, many times in life and has memorized, much to the dismay of my sense of good taste, several parts of the movie, I have to say, without hyperbole, they were, I think they gave the greatest impression, interpretation, and display of The Room that somebody can get without actually seeing The Room. Which is surprising because James Franco is doing a Tommy Wiseau impression the entire time. Dave Franco is, I think, the breakout star of this movie, which is surprising. I mean, not that people know Dave Franco. This isn't like, oh, his big break in Hollywood. But he plays Greg Sestero as such a sympathetic figure. You see this guy as simply a struggling actor. A guy who really felt he had no direction. This is his passion. This was his dream, but he lacked the self-confidence to do it. And he met this guy just in an acting class randomly one night who acknowledged he was bad, acknowledged nobody liked him, and it never fazed him because he was that sure of himself. He was that confident in not his own ability, but in just his sense of it's going to be all right for me. That every time he went up on stage, he was balls to the wall and left it all out there, and that really meshed with Sestero, and it drove him to want to be like this guy, to emulate this guy, and acknowledge that he has no talent, but still, this is somebody who, despite himself, has the drive and the self-assuredness to know he's going to be all right no matter what.
Unanswered confidence.
Unanswered confidence, and that's not the only thing that would go unanswered, because the movie also touches on several different points where people would, in real life. Mind you, I know this has happened several times because Tommy Wiseau would swear and has sworn and still to this day swears for the longest time that he's from either New York or New Orleans, depending on where I was thinking LA, or New Orleans, depending on where the time in life that people ask him where is he from. He's also never been clear about where his money comes from. Yet he dropped, and mind you, anyone seen The Room, think about how crappy it looks. The movie cost almost $10 million, all from Wiseau's pocket. Tommy Wiseau, it's a Wiseau or Weezo. I've said both over the years. I don't think it matters that much.
I've always heard Wiseau.
I've heard Wiseau, but knowing where it comes from. Okay, there's a more complicated backstory there that the movie doesn't get into. The Disaster Artist does not get into, but when he supposedly came to America first, and he worked a lot in California on the waterfronts, as he sold like these little puppet birds, and he became known as the Birdman. And in adopting a proper American name, because also nobody knows what his proper like birth name is, Oiseau is the French word for bird, and he took that as a form of that as his last name. Yeah. So Tommy Birdman, the Birdman became Tommy Oiseau.
An American take on the French label for bird.
Yes. Yeah. So Tommy Wiseau, Tommy the bird, Tommy Oiseau. That part isn't touched on in the movie. But it didn't need to. This was all about the production of The Room itself and what would eventually propel Wiseau and Sestero to unwitting stardom. Because they made such a bad movie, and the entire time, this movie is very well aware of itself. It's aware that this is about a guy who is weird. And everyone agrees is weird. And everyone around them is like, this is a weird thing that we don't have to do and it's going to cost a lot of money. How about we do this, which is simple, practical, has been done 1,000 times, has been proven to work. Like, no, this is real Hollywood filmmaking. That's why I'm buying 2 different types of cameras to shoot simultaneously with. That's why I'm remaking a scene that's set in the exact same visage on green screen as the room that's like 10 feet away from us, where we can plainly shoot there because this is how it's done in Hollywood. While real Hollywood directors and producers and DPs are telling them, no, that's not. We've never done it that way ever. And it was beautiful the way that was all laid out. A solid performance was given by Seth Rogen as the director, who had doubts and called Wiseau on every move, like, this is the wrong way to do it, this is going to look terrible, this is going to be awful. But you know what? Same way you've ever worked a bad job, as long as that check clears. You know, it's just like, you know what? Hey, I gave my 2 cents. You're still paying me. I'm gonna do the best damn job I can do with this, what's available.
You can only go against the paying man so much before, you don't want to cross that line where, all right, you're not going to listen to me, you're fired. That kind of thing. Right?
Yeah, he fires people like 8 times in this movie. Does he really? He fires them, and then it's like, you're fired. I'll see you tomorrow. And every complaint that's been had about the movie that's been expressed, apparently people had during the production. You know, like, why in the sex scene we're seeing so much of Tommy's butt?
Oh my god!
And nothing else.
Oh, that's sexy.
Why is he making love to her belly button?
Oh.
You know, complaints people had during the movie.
He's like humping her too high.
Yeah.
To simulate. It's so.
And apparently
you got to see it. You
have to see it. It's
the sex scene is unbelievable.
It is.
Is this something where should I watch The Disaster Artist first and then watch The Room?
Watch The Room, because watch The Room. Take a good long break in between, just to reflect on The Room and let the full experience sink in.
And detox from it.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Detox from it.
Wallow in it, like see the movie and then talk with friends who've seen the movie about how bad it is. Compare notes on what you noticed that was terrible, because as many times as I've seen the movie, I always talk to somebody else who's seen it and they point out something that was there that I missed because I was just so transfixed on all the other stuff that's horrible with this production. He goes to a flower shop.
Oh, the flower shop.
That's supposedly his favorite flower shop, with a woman who it's his favorite customer, yet she doesn't recognize him when he comes in. And he has no idea how much anything costs.
And all the dialogue is like, no one's facing the camera whenever they're speaking.
No one's facing the camera, not facing each other. And the whole transaction takes place in like 18 seconds.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they give it takes like it
that flower shop scene is like 18 seconds of.
Yeah, it could have been written by Michael Machida. They walk in, they're talking to each other, everything was well choreographed. They're in,
by
pay,
a monkey
they're out.
slapping a typewriter. My god!
Yeah,
but
it's like
I think it's the flower scene. The flower shop scene alone encapsulates just what this movie is.
Yeah,
it takes 18 seconds of your life.
Indeed, the transition would be one sided. It's like if we actually had this conversation. Johnny, how you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, I know, I'm your favorite guy. Are we doing the podcast? Cool, we're on. Herb, we're shooting. Okay, Geek Down is over and we're out. And that was like the entire flower scene. Hey, I'm buying flowers. What's going on here? Have you heard this? You're my favorite customer. I know. I'm glad. I'm always happy to come here. How much is this? Here's the exact cost for it. And I'm walking out.
Bye, doggy. Bye, dog. You forgot the dog.
And it's all done so well in the movie. And what I really like is it'd be very easy to go in and just really force how bad the picture is, because we all know it's bad. That's no secret. Actually presenting these things, giving honest performances, sincere performances from everybody. I mentioned Seth Rogen kind of clowning, but he's playing the role of somebody who, yes, this is ridiculous to me, but I'm being paid for a job, so I'm here to do the job. I'm really happy when folks succeed, even though it's ridiculous and moronic, because this is my work. You know, I forget his name. The guy with the teeth. I want to say Paul Scheer.
I know. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's the guy.
Paul Scheer.
He's got a big gap in his teeth.
He's got a big gap in
his
teeth.
Right. Yeah. The comedian. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
He gives a great performance as a guy who, this is ridiculous to me. I'm going to crack jokes, but I'm doing my job and I'm going to do it as well as possible, even though you have 2 cameras for me to actually direct here. And my job is to conduct one. And then he stands up for cast members when Tommy's abusing them. Greg can't really step in because he's Tommy's close friend, but he knows he's a really unhinged guy. And Scheer is speaking for the rest of us. Like, why are you yelling at these innocent people? They're just doing their jobs, and they're here to do a job that you're paying them for, yet you're the one obstructing your own production. And he steps in like, hey, man, you can't treat people like this. You can't just be an a-hole. Like, this is not how things work. And also, this is not how you get your production done. We're working on your vision. And it was really good to see folks present this not as a cartoon. It could have very easily been just this ridiculous production that no one took any pride in, and everybody had fun with this, but everyone gave it their all. And I really have to call out Dave Franco for such a great performance as just somebody who was struggling. Not, I see this guy, I'm going to take advantage of him, and not like, oh, this fool ruined my life, none of that. It's this guy who's very honest about how he wants to act, but he acknowledges he does not have the confidence to make it. And if it wasn't for Tommy Wiseau, he never would have had the drive. Like, Wiseau pushes him to Hollywood. Wiseau pushes him to be in productions and pushes him to work on this film. You know, and it's done in the classic Tommy Wiseau wacky way. But it's presented as, yes, this dude kind of ruined my career, but he got me to that point where I had a career to ruin. You know, so it's very surprising to see it taken in that direction, because it's still hilarious, but it's not forced hilarity.
Well, it's good.
It's just the concept of the room is so ridiculous, and Tommy Wiseau himself is just a crazy figure, but it can't help but be ridiculously enjoyable to watch. The movie's called The Disaster Artist. I give it a high thumbs up. What do you say, Mike?
I've heard that Greg Sestero does sorry about this. Greg Sestero does the audiobook reading of The Disaster Artist, which is the book he wrote.
It's based off the book he wrote, yeah, which is about the production of the movie. Yes.
What I've been told is that his Tommy Wiseau impression is like spot on.
Oh, I haven't heard the audiobook. I've been super curious to read the book for years, but now that the movie's out, I was like, well, let's see what. If we can get around the copyrights, maybe we'll splice in some of it in the post recording of this to put up on YouTube. But James Franco does a pretty daggone good Tommy Wiseau himself, and surprisingly, the only complaint I've heard about it actually came from another comic. She was talking about how, because her husband is European, I don't know exactly where, she's more familiar with the Polish accent and was able to identify, yeah, so I watched it, and Franco's really doing more of a Swedish accent than a Polish. And I'm like, I didn't hear anything. What's the difference? Well, in the Swedish, they elongate the vowels just slightly longer than the Polish, so I could hear it the whole time. I'm like, you are the only person on earth. There are Polish people themselves who are not going to pick up on that. You are really digging deep. But besides that, I mean, that was her nitpick, not mine. I enjoyed the crap out of this, and at the end, it had a pretty beautiful ending. It ends with the release of the very brief theatrical release, which Tommy Wiseau paid for himself out of pocket for it to run in, I think, one theater in LA for 2 weeks. The place it premiered, it ran there for 2 weeks. He paid for it to an extra 2 weeks, mind you. He paid for it to run because nobody picked it up. And to this day, no one has any idea where his money comes from. And he's still loaded. So it's not about, well, he put all his money in this film and it failed. No. And the movie is the most successful bad film of all time. He and Greg still tour together to talk about the movie, and they make appearances at live screenings. And I would love to meet them myself, and just and not even questions, just to say I was there.
Just shake his hand and that's it.
Absolutely.
Just hand him a microphone, just let him talk.
Just let him go. How often have you wanted to meet somebody because their work was so bad? It's phenomenal. The movie's called The Disaster Artist. It's in theaters right now. I give it an absolute thumbs up. I might even see it again. I love The Room so much. I've seen The Room many, many times. The Disaster Artist was really well presented, really well done. It was made with care and affection. Surprisingly, it was made with appreciation. I really, really appreciated that as a fan of this terrible fiction. And it's something I think anyone who's really into The Room for how bad it is, or how a well-made bad movie, or even just the phenomena it's become over the past few years, can appreciate. And the last thing I'll say about it is, to prove how accurate they were, the post credits there's a mid credits scene that is various, not outtakes, but various scenes from the movie, some that went in the picture and some that didn't, but they still filmed, played side by side with the original scene from the room.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, awesome.
And with the exception of someone's looking here and in the actual room they're looking here, minor things like that, it is spot on with everything. And I love that so much. I appreciated that severely. So the Disaster Artist, I highly recommend it. And we have run not just out of time. I think we might be overtime.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Herb, shh. All right, but this has been the Geek Down here on WEMF Radio. I want to thank you all for joining us. I want to thank I forget your last name. I'm sorry. Start with a
Michael
T.
Terracciano.
Michael Terracciano. I'm not going to.
Don't worry about
Tarantula.
Michael Terracciano from Star Power Comics. Check him out at starpowercomic.com. And the Kickstarter has how much more time?
48 hours. That's what it says on the website.
48?
I think
I think we're going to like 23 hours. No, 25 hours.
All right.
It ends tomorrow night.
Either way, put your knees to the breeze and get on that real quick. It's Star Power Comic. You search Star Power on Kickstarter and you should be all good. Want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
You're welcome back anytime, man.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
All right. Want to thank just Johnny.
Yo.
Want to thank DJ Herbert Herb.
Woo!
And I want to thank you, fine people. Once again, you can catch us on Geek Down Radio at gmail.com. If you have anything to say about what you heard tonight, you want to hit us up in the comics or talk about any old game systems you have that are obsolete and sucked and you dropped it one time and it broke and that little cracked screen sent ink everywhere, but you couldn't return to the store because all sales were final. And how the hell am I going to play Tecmo Bowl now? Or also check us out on Facebook, on Twitter. We're all over the place. Hit us up on SoundCloud, on iTunes. Like and subscribe. And we will catch you all next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. If you weren't watching, you were just listening, check us out on twitch.tv/thegeekdown. And also go to the YouTube channel. We are all over the internets. And also we will be right back here. Same bad time, same bad channel. But until then, be excellent to each other. Peace.